Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Faculty of Engineering, Architecture and Information Technology. I hope you're all a little bit warmer in this room than you are outside. I just got back from North America for a month and this temperature change is a shock to my system. It's much colder than it was there. My name is Georgia Baker. I'm the coordinator of student experience here at the faculty. And today is genuinely one of my favorite days of the work year. It's just so exciting to be part of a day where everyone is excited and getting started on their studies and journey here at UQ. And it's just a real thrill to be a part of it all. Just feel free to grab a seat wherever. There are plenty available. In the room with us today, at the moment, we have undergraduate students from all the programs across our faculty. That will change throughout the day. We have a number of sessions happening, but for now, this is a general welcome to all undergraduate students commencing in our faculty. Before we go any further, along with the University of Queensland, acknowledge the traditional owners and the custodianships on the lands on which we meet. We pay our respects to their ancestors and their descendants who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. We recognise their valuable contributions to Australian and global society. And perhaps I started just 2 minutes too early.
Guys, we shuffle into the middle so that there's seats on the end for people to jump into. So if you see an empty seat, to it.
Thank you.
Is this far enough?
Sorry. Okay. All right. Now that I think we're all settled, thank you very much for that. That was very helpful. The room looks nice and full now too, which is lovely. And as people come in, just feel free to take a seat. So I just, for those of you who just entered, my name is Georgia Baker. I'm the coordinator of student experience for the faculty. Welcome to, welcome to the orientation for undergraduate students in the Faculty of Engineering, Architecture and Information Technology. I just want to redo, because there was a bit of disruption as I did this, the acknowledgement to country, because I think it is very important. The University of Queensland acknowledges the traditional owners and the custodianships on the lands on which we meet. We pay our respects to their ancestors and the descendants who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. We recognise their valuable contributions to Australian and global society. Also in our faculty and university, we have a commitment to diversity and inclusion. Diversity of thought and perspectives contributes to creativity and innovation and helps us solve problems. We celebrate and are enriched by the differences in all that we do. I consider this a really important part of the work that I do at UQ as the coordinator of student experience for our faculty. I hope that my team, our shared spaces, the events and resources that we provide to you will demonstrate this commitment throughout your time with us at the university. My team, there are 4 of us. As I said, I'm the coordinator of student experience. You might have seen Josephine around this morning. She's our student experience officer. Sandra, our first year senior support officer. She's part of our student experience team, but if you're a first year engineering student, you'll see a little bit more of Sandra because that's her specialized area. And then Renee, who is our Indigenous outreach officer. A quick plan for today's session. This is your faculty welcome. You'll hear from me quickly with a little bit of information, and then we have a number of speakers from different departments across our faculty in the university. Some information about scholarships, employability, library, student services, just some general information that's not necessarily relevant to your specific program, but your time here at the faculty at the university to help you get started with the best resources and information possible. We've then got a little bit of travel time built in, which might be a little bit shorter now, given we're getting started a little later. And then you will break out into program-based sessions. So we'll have a session for our engineering undergraduate students, a session for our students in the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, and various other sessions. We will have student leaders to take you to those sessions. And no, this university is very big. I still get lost here. So we'll have people take you to those sessions. And then we have our courtyard carnival, the funnest part of the day. We have a big barbecue that one of our student societies is putting on. We've got hot cinnamon donuts being cooked. We've got Australian animals coming. I'm really hoping that Bumpy the wombat will be here. She's my favorite. We've got bubbles, music. It should be a really good time. So stick around for that. Again, from your program-based sessions, we'll have student leaders take you to the carnival so you can find out where it is. I promise it'll be worth braving the cold, and it's in a nice sunny spot. A little bit of housekeeping. There are bathrooms on every level of this building. If you just come out the door, we've got leaders positioned around and they're signed really well. But if you come out and go to the right, you'll find the bathrooms. There's no food and drink in this session, but in your program-based sessions, there will be snacks available. And then, as I said, at the Courtyard Carnival, there's heaps of food and drink available there. There's even an ice cream van if anyone's brave enough for an ice cream. And bins, they're all over the campus. If you can't find one, just ask someone. But, you know, heading out here, they're everywhere. And I just do encourage you at that Courtyard Carnival, it is in an outdoor shared space. So if you do have some rubbish, please try and find one of those bins. We've got lots of students here today. And it would be nice to leave it nice and tidy. Okay, I keep pressing the wrong button. All right, I have 2 pieces of homework for you for today's session. And bookmarking this link tree is the first one. This link tree is going to lead you to, look at you all, well, is just going to lead you to so much useful information in our faculty. This will take you to our faculty website. This will take you to our faculty welcome video. This will take you to, as the semester goes on, if we have events available to you, the registration for those events will be on this link tree. In the learning centres that you will go to, we will have this QR code on the tables taking you to this link tree. It will take you to everything you need to know. So I recommend that you bookmark that. And I recommend that you really spend some time going through the resources available there. My team over the past year have worked really hard to think about, along with our academic team, what you need to know as commencing students here at in the faculty. Everything is color-coded. It's so well organized. I would love for you all to spend some time really digging through that. I won't go to it now because we do have students across different programs and it's sort of different for each of you, but follow that through, check it out and spend a lot of time on it. One thing I wanted to note with this is the beginning of the semester is a really busy time across the university for everyone. And while we do our best to respond to inquiries and our number one priority is to help you, often digging through these kind of resources that we've prepared for you will get you the answer so much faster than we can respond to it. You know, you might spend 5 minutes on the website and find exactly what you need, as opposed to waiting 24, 36 hours for us to respond to an email when we can. And I can guarantee we're not responding to emails at midnight when you might be on the website looking for it. So I encourage you to look through that. The second piece of homework I have for you is to watch this video, and even better, watch it twice. You'll find this video on that link tree that I just showed you. This video was put together by our Associate Dean Academic, Associate Professor Lisa Moore. And again, she just really thought about what is critical for you to know as a commencing student in our faculty, regardless of program, regardless of undergraduate, postgraduate, whatever. It's just a general information to really get you started on the right foot. I watched this, I've worked in this faculty for about 8 years and even longer at the university. I watched this video twice and I learned stuff that helped me do my job better. So I really encourage that you watch it on 1.5 speed if you don't have time. But please bookmark this as well. And please watch this video, if not once, at least twice. And remember, it's a resource there to come back to in the semester if you need it. A quick note now on timetables. You'll see some of these dates here have already passed, and that's okay. If you haven't done your timetable, don't stress. I just wanted you to see these dates for reference for future semesters so you can understand the timetabling process. If you haven't created your timetable yet as a priority, please do that tonight. You can still choose your classes. It just means you've missed the preferencing period where there might be 10 tutorial spots available, and now there might only be 1 or 2 available to you. So it's still okay, but please do it as a priority, and know for future semesters that the timetabling process does actually start quite before the beginning of semester. We're in our class adjustment period at the moment where you can make changes. You can put yourself on a wait list. If there is a time that you really, really want and it's not available, pop yourself on the wait list. You can do all of that through my timetable. And you can always email the EAIT timetables team. The website is down there. The email address is down there. If there's a clash that you really need some help with, or if you need some assistance with your timetable. You have until Friday, the 2nd of August to add or change your courses. So another couple of weeks there. Again, you do that all through my timetable, the steps that were on the previous slides. There are lots of resources about this online. The really important date on this slide that I want you to know is the 31st of August. That is census date. Census date is the last day for you to remove a course without academic or financial penalty. That means you don't pay for the course and it doesn't appear on your academic transcript. So as you go through these first few weeks of semester, really take some time to consider if the courses that you're enrolled in are the right fit. If you are comfortable with a full study load, does that work with work commitments that you might have? Because you have until that date to make those adjustments without those penalties. 2 really important notes though. If you're an international student, you must remain in a full study load of 8 units unless you have permission from the faculty to reduce. And if you're a student, an international student who's come to the university with credit, you must follow the study plan that you've been given unless you have permission to do so. But for other students, work up until that 31st of August date and consider if your study load and the courses that you're enrolled in are the right fit for you right now. Get set. Onto some, not that the rest of that wasn't fun, but onto some slightly more fun stuff. Get Set is a must-do program for all new students across the university, not just in our faculty. It connects you with students in your faculty who you can learn from, students who've done it all before, and it's a great way to meet new friends. There are meetings online and meetings in person, and it's a really comfortable way to settle into university life. The Get Set program is for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're undergraduate, postgraduate, international, domestic, what you're studying, this program is for everyone in the university. And it's the best thing to give you the best start socially. It's a great thing to join because it gives you an opportunity to ask questions of people who have done it all before. And maybe that's something like, who's the best person to email if I've got a question about this course? Or maybe it's, where's the best place on campus to get a chai latte? People who have done it all and have figured it out and have some insider secrets. Which library has the best place to take a nap, for example? And of course, which library has the best resources? It gives you a chance to get to know some students who might be studying the same courses as you, who might be in the same classes as you. When you turn up to a lecture and you don't know anyone, maybe you've met someone in Get Set and there's a familiar face or a familiar name that you can sit next to. The program works by assigning you a mentor and a group of peers from your study area. It runs for the first 6 weeks of semester, and it has weekly catch-ups online and in person to meet the people in your group. So only for those first 6 weeks, we know that starting uni can be overwhelming and we want to give you that support, but then we know that once you hit that 6-week mark, things start to get a little bit more intense with assignments, and the ability to do some social things might drop down. So we have this condensed 6-week program to get you started. You need to register before Monday, the 22nd of July, so we can get the program up and running by week 1. Use that QR code there. Or, you can find all of this information online, but the QR code is right there. And I would encourage you to sign up to that program. Before I finish up, I'm looping you back to this link tree because I can't stress enough how important the resources are there. New student information. There's a program video for each of your programs to introduce you to the components and the structure of your program and critical information about your program for you all to watch. How to get academic advice. It's all on this link tree. You will have seen checking you in this morning. We have some students with a student leadership. We have a great student leadership program supported by Rio Tinto. There's information about that. There's employability, student services. It's all available on this link tree. Now, for the rest of your session today, as I mentioned, we have a range of presenters. I'm just going to let these slides flow and let our presenters come up as their slides come. But first up, we have the library here to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Georgia. I'm going to help you all try and get back some time today and try and keep this short and sweet. The library is more than just books. It's more than just resources. The library has a lot of study spaces. We have computers. We have a lot of online resources. We also have subject guides. We provide the recommended readings, required readings, etc. for your courses. But we also do all of the student IT support. So the library is basically a lot of things. It's more than just books. That is purely just a snapshot of some of the things that we do. One of the biggest things that we sort of provide that students aren't necessarily aware of is that the libraries are generally the most prevalent study spaces on campus. We have, and I did the maths this week, which scared me, even though I've been in for 8 years, it still makes me think. There are 5 different libraries here on campus at St. Lucia, and then there are 5 others on other campuses. So the UQ has 10 different libraries. Now, some of those libraries, for instance, the one just upstairs, are named after certain subject areas. So the library just upstairs is the Dorothy Hill Engineering and Sciences Library. But the names are purely historical around what physical resources may still be in those libraries. But they're by no means a note that you have to be that type of student to use that library. All of our library spaces are very different from each other. And so I encourage you all to spend some time in all of them because we all appreciate different spaces, whether it's light and noisy or dark and quiet. And so I encourage you to go to all of our libraries and just check them out for study spaces, etc., because they are all different. We actually don't have many books left physically in our spaces. Most of our resources are now all online and electronic. To help you get to know our spaces, we have a number of events on this week. Some of you have probably already been to some of these events, but throughout the week we have tours and various classes or information sessions. We have up to 3 or 4 tours running every single day. If you want to get a bit of a quick visit through all of our spaces, you can do that. We also have information sessions around sort of all the IT systems and various other things that you might need to know about while studying at UQ, as well as just more broader information than what I'm giving you, introducing you to what the library can offer. And finally, the library has a service called Ask Us. It pretty much denotes what it's called. The library gets questions about all sorts of topics. So I challenge you to ask them a question that they haven't heard before. We literally got a question on Monday, which was, where's the bubble tea shop? And we could answer that. So please, the library is very visible in terms of asking questions. They probably have heard every question that you could think of. Go and ask them. You'll be surprised at what they'll be able to answer. And if they can't answer you, they generally know where to actually direct you to find that answer, or can actually pass on your question so an answer gets to you. The university is trying very hard to be very interconnected between support services. So it's not necessarily on you to know who to contact. As long as you contact someone, hopefully it then gets you in touch with the right person for the right answer. And that is pretty much all I had to cover for today. I'm going to hand over to Yash for some cybersecurity stuff.
Hi everyone, my name is Yash and I'm from UQ Cyber. And in hindsight, this slide is a bit depressing to start off an orientation with, but it is an important reality to kind of talk about. So this is a real student scam story, not from our university, but it's just something that I'll touch on later about the different types of scams that are out there And from UQ Cyber, we just want to keep you safe and make sure your experience here is as enjoyable as possible. So, these are 3 things that I like to do whenever I come up with having to give someone my personal information or money, for example. So the first thing I do is I like to stop and I think, all right, is this, I like to check, is this a real person? Is this, is this a real person or could this be fake? And then after I've checked, I go to protect. So if I do end up giving some personal information or money to someone, what are some things that I can immediately do to then protect myself? So I'll go into that in a second, but I'll start by talking about common scams that are targeting students at the moment. So like that example I had above, university fees is something that we're seeing come up. So this is where a scammer might pretend to be an agent and offer you discounts and fees and ask you to pay through a third party. So UQ will never ask you to do that. So always pay through Signet. You can always contact the fees team if you're not sure. We've got rental property scams. So sometimes you might see a rental listing and it's in the perfect location, the perfect price, but never pay money until you've checked the credentials of whoever's posting the listing, and try to inspect the property in person when you can. We've also got employment scams on the rise. So you might have seen on Facebook, like these random job offers that just seem too good to be true, where they haven't asked for an interview, they don't ask for references. Chances are it is a scam. So always verify the existence of a business and try find out if you know someone that's worked there before, just to make sure that it's not a scam.
On that note, there are Australian business registers where you can look up Australian business numbers, Australian company numbers, etc., and they will list if those numbers are currently active. Check them. Sometimes it's the only giveaway.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that. And then also the government. So scammers pretend to be from the ATO. You've probably got those texts. And just know that these are likely to be scams. So always check with, call up, the ATO or call up the whatever agency or department just to verify if what has been sent to you is real or not, because chances are it's not. Cool. Here are some other cyber safe tips. The first one being learning how to recognize and report phishing emails, strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, which you're doing with Duo now, but we really encourage you to activate this across your personal accounts in banking as well, and then turning on automatic updates. So I'll be here at the Courtyard Carnival. So if you want to chat about any of these things, happy to help. And also you can visit our website for more information. And then what can you do if you have been scammed? Because it does happen all the time. First thing, stop communicating with the offender. The second thing, contact your bank to block your cards. Number 3 is to change your passwords on all affected accounts, because often people use the same password across many accounts. The next thing would be enable MFA and then a multi-factor authentication. So that's like your Duo app. Step 5 would be seek support from ID Care, which we highly recommend. And they kind of take you through this whole process as well as Beyond Blue, Lifeline, or support services at the university, because this can be a really traumatic experience often. So it's always important to seek out help and talk to someone. And the last thing is report the scam so you can help others as well. But that is all from me. I'll pass it on to Employability.
Hi guys, my name's Olivia and I work in the EAIT Employability team. We're going to run through just a few things. You've done the first thing, you've found the building where we live. So we're actually on level 3. What employability is or what services we offer is we basically are a free careers service. We're open Monday to Friday. 9 till 4, we've got online modules that can help you kickstart your career. I know it's only day one and thinking about your job employment is probably not the highest priority this week. So you might actually first engage with our team, maybe 12 months in time, 18 months time when you're starting to think about work experience in the field that you're studying. So we bring industry to campus, we take students out to industry. We've just launched our semester 2 of events, which includes some company crawls where you go inside the offices of some places in the city and Fortitude Valley and see what it's like inside. We're doing site tours to a few places like the new Queensland Performing Arts Centre. So we're meeting with Lend-Lease and their project team. We're doing some around HeliMods. We're going to their facilities in Caloundra. You'll see lots of classes on how to network, how to nail that interview, where you can actually practice those skills as well. So that's what we do as a team and that's what we develop. If you're an engineering student, you'll definitely be liaising with our team around engineering professional practice, which is a course requirement as part of your degree. So you need to achieve those hours in order to graduate, and you'll be doing that through our team. So now the fun part, we're going to talk about chain of commonalities, and everyone here is new on campus. I'm assuming you may or may not know the person sitting next to you. I'm going to ask for some helpers if I can. Essentially, yeah. So essentially what we're going to do is a little bit of networking bingo in your seats. I want you basically, you need to talk to the people, the 5 people next to you or 4 people next to you and one other. And you need to find something in common. I've got prizes, and the first 3 teams to call bin chicken, you have to yell out bin chicken, okay? And if you don't know what a bin chicken is, in your planner, student planner, on page 24, I saw there is a definition. It is an ibis bird that you'll see on campus everywhere. Just working out the first and 5. Now, while they're handing out those sheets, I want to talk about what sort of things we're looking for. Okay, so we haven't started the game as yet, so we can't start the game. But what we're looking for is something a bit more deeper than we both go to UQ or we both study engineering. It might be we actually both like the same flavor of bubble tea, or we both really want to own a Labradoodle in the future. I don't know. But we just want to try and tease out some things to realize that everyone has something in common with each other. Sorry, like administration of this. Right. Ready? Right. Okay, who's like 2 minutes? We've got to be swipe every hand. Stand up. There's got to be one that will not act like people. Put your hand up. Oh, I got a small hand. Okay.
Right. So, how the game works. The first person with this piece of paper, right, starts talking to the person next to them and finds out what's in common. So it might be something like, as I gave an example before, you both like the same flavour of bubble tea. That second person starts talking to the person next to them. So the third person along and finds out what's in common. So you need 5 people in a row to get what's in common between all of you, not just the person side over. Yeah, all of you. The first 5, once you've got all 5 squares filled out, you have to yell out, "Spin chicken." All right. All 3 chickens have already been claimed. So we had our middle row here, our back row, and then this row right here were third. Did we get our 3 lots? All right. Okay. If everyone can quiet down again, please. Everyone can quietly. Quietly. There we go. There we go. We're getting calm. Wonderful. The entire point of that activity was to get you excited and was to get you to meet other people. So although it was chaotic, we love that amount of noise in the room, to be honest. But we have a couple more presenters, so I'd like to continue on with those. Next up, we have EAIT scholarships. And trust me, you want to listen to them all, but you want to listen to this one. Our scholarships team is fantastic, and our faculty we have the highest number of scholarships available of any faculty in the university. So listen up and get some good hot tips.
Oh my god, it's so hard to go after that. I wish I could yell bin chicken, but you got no prizes. I'm so sorry. But scholarships, technically prizes, okay? Wrong mouse. Okay. So at the Faculty of EAIT, there are tons of scholarships on offer. Semester 1 especially is our biggest offering. So we have over 50 scholarships. So I know it's early, I know it's semester 2. We do have a couple that you may be eligible for, but I want to flag with you semester 1 just because there's so many. So we have over 50 scholarships, and there's merit, financial hardship, experience, if you're from a regional and remote area, if you're Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, or there's diversity ones as well. I especially want to flag the financial hardship. Financial hardship can mean a whole host of things. It can mean you're working to support yourself and still living at home. It could mean you're living out of home. It could mean you're on Centrelink. So if you think you may be eligible, we just recommend applying. So if you're working full time, just upload your pay slips or something like that. Or if you're on Centrelink. But if you have any questions, like please just come and ask us, because we take financial hardship meaning a whole host of things. Come on. Okay, so these two people here, they had an experience scholarship, Northern Lights, how cool. She got to do that with some of the money. And then the lady at the bottom, she says, as I supported myself financially, my scholarship has allowed me to reduce my part-time work, increase my ability to participate in extracurricular opportunities available while studying. It also enabled me to go on an exchange semester in Denmark, gaining international engineering perspectives. How to apply. So applications are open for semester 2 and they close on Sunday, the 4th of August. So on the left-hand corner, we have a little cheat sheet. So that sort of has what you may be eligible for, just like a little snapshot. And then from there, you can click and apply. On the right-hand side, that's the application form. So we are currently working on the semester 1 cheat sheet. So hopefully that will be up when the semester 2 scholarships close. Okay. So on the left-hand corner, that's the cheat sheet. So it will just sort of a snapshot, and then that's the application form. So the good thing that we've tried to do is to make it as easy as possible, because you may be eligible for more than one scholarship. So basically you just tick the ones you're eligible for and you only have to apply once. Okay, little tips for the application process. Provide everything that is required. For example, if you don't provide financial hardship documents like your pay slips or Centrelink statements, you may be just ineligible, just because we have so many people applying. Provide the correct information. Make sure you're eligible. So that's where the cheat sheet's really good. Stick to the page and word limits that are listed in the instructions, and address your scholarship eligibility in your answers. Okay. Also, as well as the faculty scholarships, there's also UQ Central scholarships. So in total, UQ has nearly 300 scholarships. You can search and work out what you're eligible for by just clicking on the filter. So whether you're domestic, international, undergrad, etc. So the little QR code is there as well. Or you can just search on Google like UQ scholarships. Oh yeah, I see some people with their phones up. Love it, love it. But yeah, if you have any questions, I work on level 2 in the faculty area. So if you ever want to check if you're eligible or what scholarships you're thinking of applying, I'm more than happy to help. So good luck. Thank you.
Is this being recorded? Yes. Wear this then. It'll keep the profanity to a minimum. Mute. So I am not EAIT Scholarships, by the way. My name is Kevin. Kevin, the Learning Advisor, and I'm here representing Student Services. So we in Student Services exist entirely outside of the school and faculty system. We have nothing to do with engineering specifically. Instead, we are the metaphorical wind beneath your student wings. In any case where you need, we don't really like to call it support, because support makes it sound like it's a deficit thing. But what we provide is support to every student in this university in a whole array of areas. I'm going to walk you through all of them, and my comrade Alexa is going to walk you through some others. But what I'm going to start with is what I do, which is learning advice. So I actually come out of the academic sphere. I trained as an academic and then abandoned it instantly to become a learning advisor, which means I teach literally everything to everyone. So what I really specialize in is what are the underlying academic skills that underpin everything that you do in the university. So you're obviously learning content, you're going to be learning skills, practical things. But for example, underpinning all of that is the skill of how to study. Study is not something that is contingent on intellect, it is skill, meaning you have to practice the skill. And the thing uniformly I've seen in this university, in my job for a decade really now, is the smarter you are, the harder university becomes. Because the smarter you are, the less it is that you have had to build those cognitive skills. And so what I'm going to give you is this model, which is just my preferred model for thinking about how study works in the university, which is if you sit down and you do any kind of work, study, note-taking, doing practice questions, math problems, you are operating in one of or more of these dimensions. Factual, that is basic, discrete little bits of information. If you think a single formula, that is a bit of factual information you may or may not need to memorize. Conceptual, that is the modeling of information in your brain. So if you get a bunch of factual information, it gets organized into, you can think of it almost as a literal model, like a big spider web in your brain where all the information lives. Because procedural, that's practical. Anytime you apply any kind of thinking in your brain, you are not recovering factual information, you are navigating conceptual models. So any work you ever do, any practice you ever do, any research you ever do, it is all going to be contingent on how well you have conceptualized. And I'm emphasizing this because I can virtually guarantee that all of you in this room are not going to have an issue with the factual dimension. That's not really the problem. You're probably not going to have an issue with the procedural dimension. It is usually conceptual. And I bring this up because if you intentionally study in ways that leverage conceptualization, it is a rising tide lifts all cognitive boats situation. And what I mean by this is, if you watch a lecture, if you take some notes, if you write things down, that's factual, factual, factual. It's not bad, you need to do this. But what you often find with studying at university is if you do all those classical forms of study, you interleave them with small bits of conceptual study, everything functions better. So I'll give you, that is a very basic list of what conceptualization looks like when you study. So again, if you're taking notes, that won't actually happen. If you're watching a lecture on like 1 times speed, 5 times speed, won't happen. If you think of it this way, this is the heuristic. Anytime you are violently self-interrogating your own brain, you are conceptualizing. And what is absolutely crucial here, this is so important for those of you going into heavy quant, which is most of you, getting correct answers is irrelevant. It is the attempt that matters. It is doing the question, for example, going, I don't know what the hell this means, but still doing it, trying it. That is the learning. And I cannot stress this enough. Think of it this way, this is another heuristic. It is better to do 10 questions and get them wrong than 1 question and get it correct. But this obviously need to end up eventually getting to the correct answer in this business, or like bridges will collapse, etc. But in the process of learning, you must emphasize self-interrogation. And this can be as simple as literally saying things out loud. You get home after a lecture, a couple of hours later, sit in front of a microphone, hit record, explain the whole lecture, which you will not be able to do, which is the point. But that act of scrabbling around inside your own brain going, oh my God, what was that about? You'll be lucky if you remember 20% of it, because that's how learning works. Stuff goes in and most of it goes out. And again, it doesn't matter how smart you are, that is just the process. But you will massively accelerate retention and understanding through self-interrogation. Easy to say, but it's difficult to do when you consider that a lot of self-interrogation is what we call injurious to the ego. In other words, if you self-interrogate that makes no sense, you feel bad, especially if you're someone who is used to getting things right, getting things correct. But at the university level, the higher you go, you will discover all knowledge is fake and made up. Nothing makes sense as you go deeper and deeper and deeper into it, which means if you're used to getting things correct, you will go insane. Not a joke. Like quite literally, it can drive you insane. What you have to focus on, process. Process, not outcome. As in successful study is the act of study itself, not whether you got things correct. So I'm going to ask you a very quick question before I move on. Has anyone done Anki in here before? ANKI. A couple of hands. If you've never heard of that, write it down. ANKI, it's simply a flashcard app that runs on spatial repetition. It's an example of something I'm talking about. Is if you set it up, just smash in flashcards on your phone, irrespective of whether you get them correct or not, high yield study. Just remember this. Like most people I talk to don't have issues with factual study, they have issues with this step, and they usually stop doing it because it feels bad. But the feeling bad is part of the process. I should say something more positive rather than feeling bad as part of the process. Conceptualization is something that if you do it progressively over months and months and months, years and years, it like exponentially, like multiplicatively improves your understanding. So if you're particularly going into research in the future, this is something to focus on early on. But even if you're not, again, 10 minutes of conceptualization a day can have an enormous, like an almost difficult to quantify impact on what you know in the long run. Now, I could talk about this for hours, by the way, this is literally my job, but instead what I'm going to give you after that taster, that amuse-bouche of learning, is everything else that we do in our division in student services. It's not just learning advice, it is also things like counselling, psychological well-being, it's student advice, which I'm going to head off. So I'm not qualified to talk about that. We have someone much more qualified to talk about it. But first, counselling, psychology. This is the thing, the kinds of self-care that we talk about, and then very rarely does anyone actually take seriously. For the university, always think of self-care and well-being as small and additive. The idea like little bits that you do, if you do them, particularly if you do them preventatively, prophylactically, they all add up. Because you cannot learn effectively if you have let's say disordered mind, that sounds bad. Worse than mental health, the worse you learn. That is a very clear relationship. And so it is always better to try and get to these things before rather than after the crisis. But we offer support at any part of that journey, before or after. So if you're in complete crisis mode, we are the people to come and see. Do you want to talk about this?
Sure. What mic am I using?
Do you want this one? Do you want that one?
I don't know. You do.
Take
This
this-
one's.
All right, that's closer. I'll just stand here.
All right, I'll stand here. So wellbeing. My team is with the student advisor team. We've already used the term advisor multiple times here. We understand it's very confusing. Breakdown is learning advisors is the skills, student advisors is disability and welfare, and then academic advisors are your faculty will be course or program selection questions. So what does a student advisor do? So broadly speaking, we support students with their disability needs and welfare, okay? So if you have a chronic illness or a disability, including mental health, we can help you put in academic adjustments, we can help you get support to help manage those chronic illnesses and disabilities with your study and to be able to participate more equitably in your program, okay? So part of those things might be neurodiversity. I think Kevin will talk a bit more about neurodiversity later. Mental health, already talked about, but if you have an ongoing mental health condition that you are requiring support with, you can definitely come and see a student advisor and we can help you put adjustments in. Other types of disability, diversity, welfare. So if you are at risk of homelessness, things like that, if you need support, contact your police. These are all things that I help students with. Okay, as well as if you've got a short-term injury and illness. Every semester, the week before exams, we always get at least 5 students who are either rock climbing, playing football, and have now broken their hand. Okay, just please don't do sport the 2 weeks before exams. But if you do, you can come to us and we can help you put in academic adjustments. Okay, so it's not just long-term disabilities, it's also if you were having surgery during the semester that requires support, we can also help with that. Okay, also if you're an elite athlete, we've got a whole range of students going to Paris that we've been working hard on being able to make adjustments for. Okay, we've got a whole range of, we've got Brisbane Lions here at UQ, whole range of different supports that we help them be elite athletes while here at UQ. All right. So if you think you do need support with disability or you have welfare concerns, you can book an appointment with us. But also we do what we call faculty engagement. So twice a week during semester, myself and a colleague will sit in the office, hang out with Erin a lot. So on a Wednesday 9 till 11, if you would like to come, if you've maybe got some questions about, okay, I think I do have a disability or my mental health is impacting my study. How do I go? What steps do I put in place to get support? Okay, so Wednesdays 9 to 11, Fridays 9 to 11. If you are
kind of experiencing any issues around these kinds of things, you can definitely come and chat with us, or you can book an appointment. You can have a one-on-one appointment, phone, Zoom, in person at Building 42. Has everyone seen Building 42? Okay, it's the big gold rings building. Okay, what I like to say to students is it's Building 42 because it's the answer to everything. Okay, so no Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fans here.
So welcome to extra roll of fish.
Thank you. Okay, so if you are stuck, we help students with a whole range of different supports, and quite often, if you, like the library said, if you don't know where to go, if you've got concerns in any of these areas, you can come and see a student advisor.
If you've never read or listened to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I recommend it because it will appeal to a lot of you.
Yes.
And I remember when he died when I was in my undergrad. Speaking of undergrad, I developed bilateral inguinal hernias in my third year of university and nearly died and didn't bother to get an access plan. And so I failed an exam because I was in hospital. So I bring this up because these services exist to help you in basically any circumstance. And because we are assaulting you with all these different names of things that people do in student services, there is one rule, which is if you do not know who to contact, you contact anyone, someone, and they will eventually get you to the right person. I know, because I was a student here, I know how easy it is to get paralyzed by who the hell do I even speak to? Because this place is a vast bureaucratic edifice that those of us working within it struggle to navigate as well. So the key is ask. So even if you literally walk into this building, which I'll show you a photo of in a second, just walk in and say, help me, and someone will actually help you. And then maybe 5 or 6 steps later, you'll get to the person that you actually need to talk to. But we are often very good starting points for this. Because we don't work in a single faculty, we work across all of them. We know everything there is to know about this university. Now, just to finish off, 2 things. We are accelerating the work that we are doing in the neurodivergent space at the moment. So everyone in this room is neurodiverse. We all have different ways that our brains operate, neurologically speaking. Some of us fit into a neurodivergent category. So that's classically your autisms and ADHDs, but we are moving away necessarily from labels like that, just to think of neurodivergence and how it manifests. So we're starting to offer more and more support in this area. So if you do fall into any of these categories, highly recommend engaging with these services. I highly recommend it because I do some of them. Now, speaking of stuff I do, learning, which is just a stupid word in and of itself on its own, but you can think of it as what I teach is all the stuff that is assumed in education, the university, even schooling, but is often not taught. Study is rarely actually taught. Public speaking is rarely taught. Writing is often not taught. Particularly if you come from a STEM, moving into STEM, almost never taught in a lot of cases. But then if you graduate, you're expected to do lots of very high quality writing. So there are often these skills, which everyone enters the university in differing levels. I am the great equalizer, myself and my colleagues. So you come and talk to us, you can book an appointment with a learning advisor the same way you would book a dentist's appointment to talk about any of this stuff, anything I've talked about so far. So this is something, like if you're thinking, how do I want to study least amount of effort, highest amount of yield, that is what we talk about, which, like, frankly, who doesn't want to do that? So, this is your takeaway message here. That is, I mean, if you look up when you walk into Student Central, that's what you see. It looks like an airport lounge. If you walk inside, it looks even more like an airport lounge. Go look at it. There's almost always people playing ping pong out the front as well. That is your oral indicator that something is happening in your Student Central. Does anyone have any questions?
That could be any questions for anyone who's spoken this morning. We have a few minutes allocated. If you've got any questions about scholarships, employability, cyber, learning, student experience, if there are any questions, now's your time, or anytime today.
You wish we were asking.
I got asked that question yesterday. Someone asked me yesterday, what do you regret most in your 20s? I thought it was a very cheap question to ask. But, well, my obsession is study, obviously. So, like, anything about how to study better or effectively. Do you all know what spaced repetition is? If not, write that down. And I recommend going down a very minor YouTube rabbit hole about it. This is one of the few things in learning that we have a decent evidence base for. It's actually really hard to establish by research what works and what doesn't. Because educational research to be effective would have to be unethical. Otherwise, we lock a bunch of children in one box and other children in another box and give them an educational intervention. So it's all observational. The spaced repetition is something that if you at least attempt to achieve, you will improve everything. It will require less effort. Anki does this automatically, by the way, which is why looking at apps that do spaced repetition in an automated algorithmic manner, much easier than doing it yourself. Because if you want to think of one thing about study, the most important thing about study, you want to remove decision-making from the process. The best study is where you sit down and you know exactly what you are about to do, to the point where if you have to randomize your study, it works better. I have a med student that I always tell this story. He was preparing for like an 8-hour medicine exam. He wrote down 6 ways of studying, and he had a single die, and he'd roll it. Whatever number he got, that's what he did. So he left it to chance. And this works really well because another kind of heuristic of study, the more different things you do, the different modalities, the better you learn. Rather than hyper-focusing on one thing for 8 hours, it's better to split it up and do lots of different styles. Even different courses, actually. If you want to look up another bit of learning theory, interleaving. I don't know if there's many good YouTube videos on that, but like if you Google it, there'll be stuff on interleaving. You know, I don't want to hog the limelight here, so if anyone's got non-learning related questions.
This is not necessarily an answer to what I wish you were asking, but what I wish you all knew and did was check your student email addresses.
Right.
You will hear us all harp on about this. Please, just check your student email addresses. It is our most effective way of communicating with you. Sometimes it's our only way of communicating with you. We just ask that you check it, please.
If you can establish something to have it delivered directly to your phone, I recommend it.
Absolutely. Any
Okay.
other questions? All right. Well,